God is dead. God remains dead, and we have killed him. These words were not whispered in some cathedral or shouted from a pulpit. They were written, sharp and merciless, by Friedrich Nietzsche in a world where belief in divine authority had begun to crumble. At first, it sounds shocking, blasphemous, even horrifying. But the real shock is not in the declaration itself. It's in what comes after. We live in the echoes of that death. The God who once anchored morality, meaning, and the purpose of life is gone. Or perhaps more accurately, the God we relied upon, the God we clung to, has been revealed as a construct. An idea we invented to fill the yawning void of existence. And now that we look into the void, it stares back, silent, indifferent, and absolute. What does it mean that God is dead? Nietzsche did not mean a literal death. He did not mean the universe exploded into atheism overnight. He meant something far deeper. The frameworks that once gave life weight, rules, and direction, morality, faith, the unquestioned meaning of existence no longer hold the power they once did. We have dismantled the scaffolding that gave our lives significance, and now the scaffolding is gone. At first, this truth is terrifying. It is the kind of terror that sits in your chest when you lie awake at night and feel the futility of everything. The routines, the work, the endless chase for achievement, all of it collapses under the weight of this revelation. There is no divine hand guiding history. There is no cosmic purpose behind your struggles, your ambitions, or your failures. Nothing inherently matters. And this is where modern life intersects with Nietzsche's warning. We exist in an age of unparalleled anxiety. We measure ourselves against infinite standards, success, beauty, wealth, social validation. We cling to fleeting goals and temporary achievements as if they will answer the question our civilization can no longer answer. Why do we exist? This is the silence Nietzsche predicted. The silence of the universe after the death of God. It is not malevolent. It is indifferent, but it is loud. The absence of divine order becomes a presence in itself, a void that fills the human mind with questions it cannot easily answer. Who am I? Why am I here? What is the purpose of suffering, of joy, of everything in between? And when the world refuses to answer, the weight of responsibility falls squarely on your shoulders. No one is coming to tell you what to do. No scripture, no priest, no prophet. The moral compass that once pointed north has disintegrated. And in this new world, you are not a subject of a divine plan. You are a creator. You are the one responsible for your life, for meaning, for morality, for the shape of your days. This is both liberating and terrifying. Some stumble under it. They seek refuge in nihilism, convinced that nothing matters, that the absence of God is a sentence to despair. They fall into apathy, addiction, distraction, attempting to fill the void with temporary pleasures. But Nietzsche did not propose despair. He proposed a challenge. The death of God is not the death of meaning. It is the opportunity to reimagine meaning on our own terms. It is the invitation to create values, to define purpose, and to live with audacity in a world that offers no inherent instruction. It is the birth of freedom, the raw, terrifying freedom to shape existence for yourself. Imagine waking up each day in a world where no one can tell you how to live, no inherited rules, no divine decree. You are entirely free, and yet the gravity of that freedom presses down. Without God, the question of what to do with your life becomes immediate, pressing, unavoidable. You can no longer outsource your meaning. You must find it, invent it, wrestle it into being. Nietzsche calls this the Overman or Übermensch. This is not a superhero. It is not perfection. It is a human who recognizes the death of God and decides to live anyway, consciously, deliberately, fully. The Overman does not wait for life to hand them purpose. They forge it. They embrace creation, struggle, joy, suffering, and failure as tools, not punishments. They sculpt existence itself into art. And yet, the world resists this awakening. Most people cling to the old illusions. Religion, tradition, social expectation, they are comforting scaffolds carrying generations of inherited meaning. But the Overman cannot lean on these. They have seen the scaffold crumble, and standing on the empty ground, they confront the absurdity of life with eyes wide open. Absurdity, here is where Nietzsche's thought brushes against Camus. Life is not inherently meaningful. There is no universal script. Suffering exists without reason. Happiness is fleeting. And yet, the Overman does not despair. They smile, they create, they dance on the edge of nothingness. They embrace the chaos as the canvas upon which life is painted. This is the modern challenge. Anxiety, depression, the fear that nothing matters, these are symptoms of the scaffolds collapsing. The death of God is not merely philosophical, it is deeply personal. Every moment in which you feel lost, empty, or unmoored is a moment in which the old certainties have died. And in that death, there is opportunity. Opportunity to reimagine morality, to design values that resonate with your being, to choose what you will love, what you will fight for, and how you will live, knowing full well that nothing guarantees your choices will have cosmic significance. You are entirely, terrifyingly, beautifully responsible for your own life. Some recoil from this responsibility. They flee into illusion. Social media, religion, ideology, or addiction, these are attempts to outsource meaning. But the Overman confronts it directly. They acknowledge the death of God. They stare into the silence and say, I will create anyway. I will define anyway. I will live anyway. And in this confrontation, they discover the paradoxical gift of God's death, liberation. No more rules imposed from above. No more inherited moral chains. No more demands for obedience. Only existence, raw and unfiltered, waiting to be shaped. Imagine a world where you can choose the weight of your own life, where suffering is not punishment but material for growth, where joy is not preordained but something you forge through attention, awareness, and courage. This is not utopia. It is reality, and it is yours to inhabit fully. But this freedom is not easy. It demands courage. It demands persistence. It demands confronting the void every single day. The Overman must cultivate strength, creativity, and honesty. They must confront loneliness, existential dread, and the absurdity of existence without the comfort of illusions. And here lies the tension of the modern human condition. We live in the aftermath of God's death, yet we are only beginning to understand what it means. Many stumble, lost between inherited moral codes and the abyss of freedom. Many despair, feeling the universe's indifference as emptiness pressing in from all sides. And a few rise conscious creators, overmen, artists of existence crafting meaning, not waiting for it. This is the first part of our journey. We have walked through the silence after God's death, felt the weight of freedom, glimpsed the terror of unanchored existence, but understanding is only the first step. Knowing that God is dead is not enough. What comes next is the challenge Nietzsche left for us: how to live in this new world, how to create purpose where none exists, how to embrace the absurd freedom granted by a universe that offers no guarantees. Part 2 will take us deeper. We will explore the ways human beings can forge meaning, confront nihilism, and rise into a life of deliberate creation, answering the haunting question, what comes after God? Because the truth is simple and terrifying. God is gone. The scaffolds are gone. The universe does not care, and now it is up to you. The silence after God's death is deafening. The scaffolds of meaning that once held civilization aloft have collapsed, leaving us exposed to the raw, unfiltered reality of existence. In that silence, many flinch, many turn away. But some, the few who dare to confront the void, begin to see something extraordinary: the freedom to create. Nihilism, the recognition that life lacks inherent meaning, is often painted as despair, and at first it can feel that way. Without God, without divine order, without preordained purpose, every choice feels weightless, every action fleeting. The rituals of life, work, love, achievement can seem hollow, like echoes in an empty cathedral. Yet, this nihilism is not a prison. It is a gateway. It is the starting point from which the human spirit can rise, unshackled, to become an architect of its own destiny. Imagine standing at the edge of a cliff. Behind you lies the world of inherited rules, borrowed morality, and comfortable illusions. Below, a yawning void stretches endlessly. The natural response is fear. To leap seems impossible, and yet to remain frozen is a slow death of spirit. Nietzsche's Overman does not shrink. He steps forward. He leaps, not blindly, not recklessly, but with awareness. He creates meaning because he must, because nothing else exists to provide it. Creating meaning in a godless universe requires courage, a courage deeper than fear of death or failure. It demands honesty, the brutal acknowledgement that the world is indifferent, that your past and future are construct, that no one will tell you what matters. You are free, terrifyingly free to choose what matters to you. And with that freedom comes responsibility. The responsibility to live deliberately, to act intentionally, and to forge values that resonate with your being. But how does one begin to create meaning? Nietzsche offers a path not in abstract sermons, but through life itself as art. Every choice, every struggle, every joy and pain becomes a brushstroke on the canvas of existence. You sculpt your life through action, decision, and creativity. Love is chosen, not commanded. Work is pursued, not dictated. Morality is constructed, not inherited. Each act of courage, each embrace of experience, each confrontation with suffering is an assertion that your life matters not to the universe, not to God, but to you. Consider the absurdity of existence. Life is fleeting, unpredictable, and often unjust. Suffering arrives without warning. Joy fades like mist, and death is inevitable. These are not obstacles to overcome. They are the medium in which meaning can be created. To accept the absurdity of life is to see reality as it is raw, chaotic, indifferent, and still choose to act with purpose. Camus called this the revolt, the conscious embrace of life despite its lack of inherent meaning. Nietzsche's Overman embodies this revolt, not despair, not resignation, but creative affirmation. Modern life complicates this further. We live surrounded by the illusion of control. Technology, social structures, ideologies, all promise order and purpose. Yet, beneath these layers, the existential truth remains. The universe offers no guarantees. The challenge is to navigate this world without succumbing to distraction or denial. Every moment becomes a test of authenticity. Are you living because it matters to you, or because you are obeying invisible rules? Are your actions guided by your own values or by inherited constructs that no longer serve your being? To live after God is to confront these questions daily. It is a process of self-overcoming, of constantly refining what matters, what brings vitality, and what shapes your identity. Nietzsche describes this as a form of spiritual craftsmanship, forging oneself into something greater, not defined by inherited standards, but by the choices you make, the risks you take, and the truths you dare to face. This is not easy. The void is patient. It waits, silent, watching every hesitation, every compromise. Many succumb to despair, seeking comfort in illusion. Religion, ideology, addiction, distraction, these are the shadows people cling to, afraid to stand in the light of their own freedom. But the overman does not hide. He walks through the void, aware of its indifference, and still asserts his presence, his values, his life. Freedom in a godless world is double-edged. Without divine authority, morality is yours to craft. Without cosmic purpose, your life's meaning is yours to define. Every act is amplified by this responsibility. Every choice carries weight, not because the universe decrees it, but because you choose to give it weight. This radical responsibility is both exhilarating and terrifying. It is the heartbeat of existence after God. Love, too, takes on new significance. Without divine command, without predestined purpose, love is an act of creation, not a requirement. To love consciously, knowing it may fade, knowing it may cause pain, knowing it has no guarantee of permanence, is one of the most profound affirmations of life possible. Each act of care, each gesture of compassion, each decision to connect with another human is a rebellion against the indifferent universe, a statement that your values matter, even if nothing else does. The same applies to work, art, and creation. In a godless world, achievement is not a path to divine approval. It is a declaration of existence. Every painting, every song, every invention, every act of courage, every moment of beauty is a testament that life, though meaningless, can still be extraordinary. Meaning is not given, it is claimed. It is forged in the crucible of freedom, in the face of indifference, in the act of living boldly. Yet, living boldly requires confronting mortality. The death of God forces us to face our own finitude. Life is finite, fragile, unpredictable. There is no afterlife to justify suffering, no divine plan to reward patience. This reality, instead of paralyzing us, becomes the fuel of urgency. Every breath, every choice, every interaction is intensified by the knowledge that time is limited and that the universe offers no guarantees. Living fully is an act of defiance. Every day is a canvas, every moment a chance to sculpt significance where none exists inherently. Modern anxiety, depression, and existential dread are the shadows of this confrontation. They are symptoms of the scaffolds crumbling and the void pressing in. Yet they are also signals, reminders that we are being called to engage with existence directly, not through inherited illusions, not through distraction, but through radical conscious choice. To face the void is to recognize it, accept it, and transform it into freedom. Nietzsche's vision is not despairing. It is a call to arms. The death of God is a challenge to live without excuses, without borrowed meaning, without reliance on absolutes. It is the beginning of self-overcoming, of conscious creation, of courageously defining your own values and your own purpose. To rise in this world is to say, I do not need God's approval. I do not need inherited rules. I will create, I will act, I will live, and I will make it meaningful because I choose to. And in this act, something extraordinary occurs. The void does not consume. The silence does not oppress. Instead, existence becomes a canvas of infinite possibility. Every act of creation, every conscious decision, every embrace of joy or suffering becomes a brushstroke in the masterpiece of your own life. You become both artist and observer, sculptor and spectator in a world without guides, without guarantees, but filled with potential. This is the answer to the question Nietzsche posed. What comes after God? After God comes responsibility. After God comes freedom. After God comes the opportunity to live deliberately, to shape existence, to confront nihilism with creativity, courage, and authenticity. The universe does not care. Morality is not ordained, and meaning is not given. But this is not despair, it is liberation. To live after God is to embrace the absurd, to confront the void, and to claim life fully. It is a life that acknowledges suffering and joy, mortality and fleeting beauty, chaos and impermanence, and still moves forward. It is a life where meaning is not found, but forged, where morality is not inherited, but chosen, where existence is not given purpose, but made purposeful through attention, action, and courage. The world has changed. God is dead. The scaffolds have fallen. The void waits. And now it is up to you. To live boldly, to create meaning, to face mortality and freedom without flinching, this is the challenge of our age. This is the gift Nietzsche left us. The terrifying, exhilarating opportunity to be architects of our own existence, painters of our own reality, and creators of our own purpose. The question is not whether God is dead. The question is, what will you do now that He is gone?